Clair Obscur Expedition 33, the recent RPG from Sandfall Games, has a lot of hype. For one, it has a crazy high Metascore rating. RPG fans and gamers are glazing the game online, and despite being a new indie title, it has already sold over 2 million copies. Like I said, the hype is real, people. But is it deserved? That's what I set out to uncover. Here's how this is going to work. I'm on a quest to beat the game. Along the way, I'll make crude jokes, inform you of things I liked and disliked about the game, all before reaching a final verdict. This video and my in-depth discussions will contain spoilers. However, I'll try to keep my final verdict as spoiler-free as possible. So if you're on the fence about the game, feel free to skip to the verdict. With that, let the expedition begin. Wow, French people. Oh, Gustav, you're so great. I hope nothing bad ever happens to you. I'm getting to play as an underage girl, a YouTuber's dream. Listen guys, this just goes to show you, sometimes absentee fathers are better. They just are, right? You don't have to fight them, they don't make you time parries, they also don't gommage your friends and your surrogate brother, right? So consider your absentee father a gift. Nothing says get back in the kitchen and do the dishes like beating the shit out of your wife. So having beaten the game, I can without a doubt say one of this game's strengths is its characterizations. They are fantastic. This game has the ability within 2 cutscenes and a fight to make you absolutely love the character and understand their decisions. Granted, some characters by the end of the game are definitely ignored in favor of other ones. But one of the reasons you notice this is because you love everyone. When someone's not talking in this game, you notice it. This is a massive compliment to the game. Every character they introduce, by the end of their tutorial, you'll be vibing with them. The humor of the characters also just works. The bonding of the characters works. The game gets you to buy into their characters and into their quest. They are resilient, passionate, and despite the sometimes absurd nature of the world, they are relatable, not only in their personalities, but also in their failures. While most games try to make their parties feel like families, this game actually has a family and a surrogate family, and it feels that way. They disagree, they bond, they joke, they feel. It's organic. The characters and their motivations can literally will you to keep playing. This is why the opening prologue is just so great. Within an hour, they make you not only care for the characters, but also for the world they inhabit. And even I, someone who knew what they were doing, fell hook, line, and sinker. I could see them grounding us, a nice intro into the world. It's why we start in the Shire in Lord of the Rings. It's why we start in Midgard and Final Fantasy VII. They're letting us be a little personal so that we care for this world. It's to show people what they're fighting for. I knew this, and it still worked. The bastard still had me tearing up. That's how well executed it was. That's how much damn charm this opening and its characters had. Now, as you play the fantastic opening, you'll also get a taste of our next topic, combat. The combat, especially the offense and defense in this game, is really damn good. Now, I do have complaints about the combat system, but as far as attacking, defending, and pattern recognition, the game does a wonderful job. The thing I loved and appreciated more than anything, though, was its sense of momentum. When people hear momentum, they think speed, like, oh, I gotta be faster than Andrew Tate can tweet a slur. No. By momentum, I mean building speed, growing in power, entering a flow state. You build up overcharge, perfection, foretell, gradient attacks. Certain moves flow into one another, unlocking additional benefits. It's not just spam moves until you are out of MP. It's a fluid dance where you grow in power. On top of this, Expedition 33 has also implemented defensive mechanics, allowing you to dodge, jump, and parry. This creates such a higher skill level that players, myself included, could really resonate with, especially in the early and mid-game where learning bosses' patterns was a must and legitimately fun. I've seen a lot of people compare this game to Dark Souls, and I somewhat agree due to its defensive focus. If you play a FromSoft game and you master defense and movement, you won't be touched. You'll be a god. This game is like that, but only for parts of the game. And the defensive options in this game are easier because it's all segmented. You don't need to blend offense, defense, and movement in real time. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, as even on lower difficulty, you'll still need a moderate skill, but the constant warnings, segmented nature, and numerous timing cues does make it easier. I just found it to be really fun. I liked learning the enemy patterns. I liked building up foretell or strains and cashing them in for massive amounts of damage. When it's firing on all cylinders, especially in the first 2 acts of the game, it just feels amazing. Bosses will cheat, take extra turns, unleash near endless attack barrages. They become problems the game demands you answer using skill and the various customization options. This is only heightened by free aim, which adds customization, fun enemy designs, and another skill set to master. At times, this will feel like the best turn-based combat system, as everything is increasing the fun factor. It's so good that even if you hated the French, I would still recommend this game just for the combat system alone. I mean, plus there's a lot of dead French people, so yeah. Next, we have to talk about the fantastic art direction. While the opening might seem tame, as soon as the expedition hits land, the fantastic art and imagery of this game will be apparent. As you journey, you'll visit exotic environments that are crafted with this whimsical art house feel. Like, I would just stop and look at the environment, the profound imagery, from boss arenas to twisted paths. It's so varied, it's so colorful, it has flavor, bro. It's so flavorful that you want to touch it, lick it. And I'm not even talking about your companions. I'm talking about Golgra. Damn, girl. I just loved the art direction. While its surreal and fantastical nature might alienate some, I vibed with it so hard, my dudes. And on top of that, there's actually an in-lore reason why it's so crazy, why there's a discrepancy in some of the areas, why it goes from childlike wonder to dark and brooding. I liked the explanations and every painter creating and destroying. It becomes obvious to see which painter designed each part. It was just really cool. The imagery is also distinct. You'll know this game when you see it because it has its own style and is able to blend distinct areas into a perfect artistic harmony. Now, speaking of harmonies, there's something that blends the art direction, combat, and characters together: the music. The music in this game will make you feel things. This game is able to blend its music with the combat, with the imagery, and with the characters, with the moments, to draw out emotions in the player. It can get you pumped up for a fight, have you intrigued by a new area, or soften your emotions for a character moment. Before this game, I wasn't into French music. I'm still not into the music, but I tried. I've always complimented the Final Fantasy series for having the ability to make players feel things by blending its imagery with profound moments and music. Even games you hate, with goofy mistranslations and weird-ass characters, can make you emotional, and you'll get more emotional because you'll be angry the series did it to you again. This game has this ability. Otherwise, mundane moments are elevated. Characters can be simply discussing directions, and because of the music, it'll feel deeper, poignant. Again, only choosing north, but damn, that's destiny calling, and it's just superb. When grifters claim gaming is dead, a single cutscene with this score proves otherwise. The game masterfully controls your emotions and expectations beautifully. I'm tearing up, I'm ramped up, I'm chubbed up. It's masterful. Now that I've covered some of the bigger topics, I'd like to discuss some of the smaller things that I enjoyed throughout the experience. For example, the weapons. While each individual weapon has their own distinctive look, what I cared for more is that each weapon type gave you a playstyle. They aren't perfect, but they really helped give players ideas on how to build their characters, and I thought that was a pretty cool idea. So were costumes. Most single-player games need costumes and the ability to play dress-up. Time, and the profits of competitive shooters, show that players like costumes, outfits, and skins. Even players like myself that don't really partake can still appreciate them as a sense of reward. I also thought the inclusion of optional bosses was amazing. This was great for people not only wanting rewards, but also players wanting a true test. Some of these were difficult and really forced you to get creative with builds and rely on your skill. I just don't think a game can have too many boss fights unless your combat system sucks, but even then you'd have bigger problems than the bosses. I also like the level design. Now I know some players like massive open worlds and open fields, but I don't really care. This game packs all of that stuff, from hidden items to extra bosses, into tight, contained spaces. While yes, not having a mini-map can cause you to get lost, games now rely too much on mini-maps and remove the actual sense of exploration. It was just straight to the point, it looked beautiful, and rewarded people who wanted to check around every corner. You still had the ability to take alternate paths and run away from optional fights. I just see so many games now with basic leveling, box busting, with mini-maps that highlight everything. I just prefer this. Lastly, I loved the overworld. I love how it blended the colorful and distinct areas into a cohesive world. The sense of progression you gained when accessing new areas, the secret items, locales, and bosses hidden in plain sight. It just felt great exploring this world even from a distance. And when new areas and modes of transport were unlocked, I couldn't wait to see what new horror or location awaited the party. There's just so much to do and find. Odds are you won't have seen it all despite beating the game. That's how dense the overworld is. While the overworld is simple, it is effective and, more importantly, fun to navigate. Now, while I was enjoying the combat, boss fights, music, and exploration, unfortunately, problems did start to arise. While the mountains and peaks of this game are high, unfortunately, it also has some rather low valleys. However, I'm going to start with the smaller problems and work my way into the bigger issues, as if not to make the smaller issues look like nitpicks. If you are one of those gamers that can't stand to hear criticisms of games they love, turn away now. While this game is relatively new, it already has a rock-hard army ready to defend it. Go Girl will do that. Damn, baby. However, if you actually want a thoughtful discussion without name-calling, feel free to leave a comment. That is the real purpose of this video, to have real discussions about games we love and hate. Opinions are welcome. Okay, remember how I liked the weapon playstyles? Well, I hate the weapon upgrade system and its limited attribute focus. The reason the upgrades suck is because if you want to experiment with multiple weapons, you are going to have to grind for upgrade materials. Yes, this game gives you some, enemies drop them, they can be bought. However, these are still limited in number. For example, if you wanted to get a weapon from level 13 to 19, this would cost over 20 resources. This is per weapon, per character. You can only buy 5 at a time. Some enemies and bosses only drop 3. While some people might not experience this because they found their preferred weapons early, others, like myself, had to endure pain. The combat of this game is fun, but it isn't grind the same enemies for 40 minutes fun. Why don't vendors have an endless supply of rather mundane crafting supplies? I have no idea. As for the weapon attribute scaling, while I love scaling weapons and items, as they are just superior game design in my eyes, I hate that the weapons in this game only need 2 stats. Hell, some only need 1. This just means that players will meta-max their builds and only put stats into 2 attributes. And if you aren't doing this, just know your character is at a disadvantage. I just think it's pointless to have attribute allocation and then only have 2 attributes that matter. Yes, I know you can put them anywhere, but some stats are just useless if we are being honest. They are better raised with Pictos. At higher levels, it's just pump your 2 core attributes to 99, then just spin the rest wherever. Again, I like the weapon playstyles. I just think making the weapons scale with 3 or more attributes would justify the allocation mechanic more and actually make choice matter. As it stands, the only reason it matters is because people are doing it wrong. Players should have a choice when doing it right. Speaking of character customization, I hate this game's skill tree. Now, I'm not a fan of skill trees, and this game only reinforces my belief. This game promotes sandbagging, limits experimentation, and has no avenue for unspent points. What makes this skill tree worse than other skill trees is you are going to have so many excess points that you don't spend, and it's because this game limits your moves to only 6. That means it's pointless to buy that 7th move, especially if you like your current build. It's common for players to stockpile their points, waiting until something new comes out, or simply not wanting to upset their current build. Even you, random guy that is disagreeing with me down in the comments, probably has unspent points right now. While other games offer stat bonuses, innate effects, or more, this game doesn't have any of that. Nearly everything you buy is a move, and you can only have 6 moves. The game desperately needs something, anything, to spend excess points on. I don't see the need of buying an entire skill tree when you can't even equip it all and some of it doesn't fit your build. Sure, having options for moves is nice, but so is having other things in a skill tree. Not to mention it can make level ups feel underwhelming as you wait and stockpile points, needing double digits for some moves. Again, you will always have unspent points. Personally, I just think they need a place to dump excess points, even temporarily, for small gains. I don't think buying moves you won't use is actually viable, and that's because of my next criticism. This game neglects and kills the healer and support classes. Now, it's no secret that this game takes inspiration from JRPGs and RPGs of the past. One such example is Mario RPG, which shares some similarities with this game. It also has timing-based attacks, and it also has timing-based defense. That's right, in Mario RPG, you can time your defense to reduce damage. But it doesn't work for every attack. Now you might be asking why? Well, why is that, Alex? That's because if you could reduce all the damage to 0, Princess Peach wouldn't have a job, and that's exactly what this game does. Early in the game, healing and support moves are pretty good, but they quickly get outpaced, outclassed, and power creeped out of existence. Now, I'm okay with your game not having dedicated healer classes, but I have to disagree with a game that does it poorly. Lune is essentially the only healer, but by mid-game, the moves cost too much, require too much investment, and are outperformed by Tense. Every character can use them, they don't cost action points, and most characters have self-healing side effects that also double as attacks. Hell, even some characters have gradient revives despite being glass cannon characters. Even self-healing Luminas can be equipped to everyone, yet are simply inferior to shields at higher levels and difficulties. Even when the healing move costs 0, they are still not worth it at a certain point. The same can be said for support roles. The best support in this game is literally a character giving their turn away so someone else can do damage. Every effect in this game can be applied for free by a Lumina or an attack. Dedicated support moves just become obsolete over time. Now, some people might like this. Some people no doubt think auto support is better. Why cast this stuff when I can just walk into battle with it and cast attacks instead? Well, it's this offensive focus that really kills non-aggressive playstyles in this game. There's no way to build a character in this game that doesn't attack. It's just not a viable strategy. I would be more forgiving of this if every character didn't have half a dozen status moves in their skill trees. Most are 1000% useless. Hell, even status effects, which should be a support character's dream, is catered toward aggression. Don't believe me? Some status elements in this game can be cured by shooting. You can literally blast your way out. I know this game is French, but that's the most American shit I have ever heard, dude. You get a status in this game and then you harness the power of a redneck and start firing, baby. It's okay to not have traditional healing or support. Again, that's totally okay. However, my problem is this game tries to do it, it just doesn't do it well. They don't scale properly, cost too much AP, bloat the skill trees, and are easily replaced because of the limited moves. And I'm sure some people would disagree with this, like, hey man, I play support moves. And my response is simple. Your skill is clearly better than your build. Now, for my biggest problem with the combat system, Act 3 is broken and unbalanced. Now, I am aware that the devs have already nerfed one of the moves, but that was just a symptom. The power scaling of Act 3 is so outrageous that it undermines and erases the play patterns and skill development featured in the previous acts. You see, in the first 2 acts, the game presents you with a problem, namely big-ass boss fights. In order to progress forward, you'll need to utilize available Pictos, Luminas, character abilities, and your cultivated skills. You'll need to come up with clever solutions, memorize boss attack patterns, and overcome unfair advantages the bosses might have like going first or even twice. Act 3 disregards this. It feeds you Pictos that you might think are necessary, just like the acts before it, when in reality these new Pictos and weapons make you so overpowered that those initial play patterns are abandoned. You do massive amounts of damage, you go first twice, hell even 3 times. The turn order is just you. Every Pictos gives massive stat increases. Every new Lumina is cheap and can be spread to everyone. You don't need to build momentum when you can start the battle with it. Again, the previous acts make you think these upgrades are necessary to progress when they are not. It is simply breaking the game. Remember when the normal enemies were also lethal? Yeah, not in Act 3. With some fights, you don't even need to dodge or parry anymore because bosses and grunts don't even get turns. I have never in my life played a game that built up a skill set, yet in the endgame completely abandoned it by design. The game quite literally turns into an auto-battler, where all skill is replaced with multiple turns, massive attacks, and millions of first turn order damage. It's not one move or Picto or weapon or Lumina, it's an entire act of them. Nobody reaches the endgame at the correct level or power. Most players will either rush it or walk in 10 to 20 levels too high. The game warns you, do everything. This is a point of no return. Yet when doing this, even limiting your focus on companion side missions, you'll still be busted and overpowered, making the endgame boss fight a complete joke. Yes, there are bosses that require the broken builds the game gives you, but there are also 24 that become an uninteresting joke that are devoid of skill and stakes. I just don't think this game is fun to play at the higher end. It's like flying over levels in Super Mario World. While sometimes fun, the game is designed to limit it. Not to mention the game isn't as fun when there's no threat. When you aren't dodging attacks, building up combos, or trying to overcome a fight, this game becomes anticlimactic in my opinion. Anyone from a gamer or your great Aunt Carol can beat it at that point. I can already hear and see the excuses, but Alex, but you can take all that stuff off, you can nerf yourself. Listen, that is completely counterintuitive to what the game had set up for the previous 30 hours. It has taught you, hey, this is your new stuff, you better use it. It will help you in the upcoming fights, okay, cool. When you follow that same logic in the endgame, the game becomes busted. You will break the game inadvertently. Fanboys love to argue with dog shit like, oh, I love it when a game really lets you make your own difficulty with how you play. Like, dude, you can do that in any video game, right? 2K for Dreamcast, you can play it how you want, brother. You can shoot half-court shots and make it as hard or as easy as you want. But you shouldn't have to shoot half-court shots to keep the game close. That's what this game does. Finding the perfect balance in the end game just isn't worth it, and it shouldn't be necessary. Now, some people are going to disagree with this because they like one-shotting bosses. They like being overpowered. Personally, I just think it undermines the difficulty settings you literally chose and the previous 30 hours of gameplay. The early game was just so much fun, man. Here's a problem, here's some stuff, figure it out. I just don't think it's a coincidence that when you look up broken character builds on YouTube, they all start at Act 3. As for my last complaint, it's actually story related. While the characters are amazing, I was personally disappointed by the abandonment of the early game themes and story. By the end of the game, the expedition doesn't matter, and its themes were irrelevant. This started back in Act 1 with Gustav's death. While shocking, of course, it isn't as impactful when they turn right around and replace him with the actual main character. It's like putting your dog down, yet on the way home, you stop to get a new puppy. You aren't even given time to grieve. Don't get me wrong, Verso and his motivations are great. He is a well-realized tragic character. However, Gustav is buried and avoided at all costs. Even when the party gains the ability to literally resurrect people, he is just ignored. Oh, he doesn't have chroma, or I'm too weak. Like, seriously? He's still fresh, but the dead people that have been dead for 30, 40 years have more chroma? This, in tandem with the minimizing of the party's importance, just makes the game feel segmented. like the real game doesn't start until Act 2. While it might seem like narrative misdirection, I think the abandoned themes hurt the overall experience. Tomorrow comes, living for tomorrow, perseverance, dying so the future may live, not wanting the future generations to make the same mistakes you did. There was even a literal mechanic about finding previous expeditions and writing of your exploits so that the next generation doesn't make your mistakes. This doesn't matter. Once the family story takes hold, these themes are mostly forgotten as the story shifts to focus on grief. While it's still good because of the characters, it comes at the cost of the initial premise. Some of us, though, myself included, cared for the first family the game showed us. As the game progressed, it got further and further away from this initial premise. Gustav dies, the journal entries stop, everyone isn't real or just dead. It's like the game spends the first 12 hours convincing you to care about these characters, themes, and quests, then spends the rest of the game telling you all of that shit didn't matter. Even what should be cathartic and joyous ending is turned sour. While yes, Mael's inability to let go and face her grief is heartbreaking and tragic, the game dismisses this ending as the clear bad choice, yet never shows the choices in a fair light. It's actually what makes the choice in the end kind of insincere, as it's clear the game wants you to side with Verso. Again, the suppression of the expedition, its themes, Gustav's resurrection, they are all 1000% intentional. But simply play devil's advocate with the endings. While Mael's ending seems tragic, it's also a full circle moment as she's doing the exact same thing as the expedition and her brothers. The expedition was taught and trained to give themselves up for survival of the future. She's doing that. Also, both her brother and her surrogate brother both gave their lives to protect her. Now she's doing the same. And when she does start to crack or painter's fatigue starts to show, I would have no doubt the remnants of the expedition would be there to help her. That's what they do. They persevere. They move forward. Yet none of this is showcased by the game. You are made to hate this painted world, and to me, it undermines and erases the incredible world, characters, themes, and premise that the early game established. Again, I am okay with misdirection, but this feels like two separate games at times. While Verso's sacrifice is emotional and speaks to the tormented depth of his character, it also makes the complete first half of this game invalid. Hell, the characters aren't even given lines. They don't even fight back despite the entire backbone of this game being built on their inability to go quietly. And let's be real, it's not like Verso ending is guaranteed to be great. As soon as mommy acts up again, daddy is probably going to put her ass back in a painting and kick her ass again. It's clearly a domestic abuse loophole. Is Mael forced to deal with her grief? Sure. But she also has to deal with a clearly messed up family that hates one another, all while being disfigured and handicapped. While the family drama and characters are compelling, again, Verso is just an amazing character. I hate how the initial premise, themes, and characters are showcased and treated over the long run. But, c'est la vie. So, having beaten the game and analyzed its various systems, it's time for the final verdict. Does Clair Obscur Expedition 33 deserve the hype? Yes, even with my criticisms, this game is an easy Game of the Year contender and no doubt will bring home some hardware. I can see now why people were dancing in the street and yelling French slurs at Square Enix. While still not justified, it's understandable. This game's pretty damn good. Plus, this game is only $50, which is mind-blowing, as it's cheaper than new Nintendo games and ones that are 8 years old. The combat system is engaging and it's fun to learn attack patterns and character combos. It's a system built on near endless customization and skill. The art direction is distinct and has a beautiful charm. The music is orgasmic. So get the cleanup crew ready when they perform this stuff live at the Game Awards. This game at times can feel magical in its presentation. Despite being new, it can feel nostalgic as it wears its inspiration on its sleeves. It's an expedition that, despite my criticisms, everyone who likes an emotional story with twists, turns, and great characters needs to try. Plus it has sex appeal. Damn, girl. If you want to score, I would personally give it an 8.5, as it's hard for me to overlook some of the late game choices and systems. Still a great game though, especially the first 2 acts. Critically, however, I would give it a 9. The difference being my own distaste for some of the story choices and the ending act, which I value a lot. So, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Leave a comment with how you feel about the game. I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and I would love to hear why. And remember, kids, when someone upsets you, just put them inside a painting. Anything and everything is legal inside the canvas. And with that, au revoir.